Welcome to the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, where you can take a deep dive to explore the pitfalls and potential of the obsessive-compulsive personality, offering hope and help for perfectionists, workaholics, micromanagers, type A personality, and control freaks. Happy New Year, everybody. Gary Trosclair here, psychotherapist, Jungian psychoanalyst, and author of the Healthy Compulsive Project book, blog, and podcast. Relationships don't thrive by accident, but they do die by accident. One typical accident is when one partner is overly self-controlled and does not express affectionate, positive, or intimate feelings. It's like forgetting to water a plant, and we all know how that ends up. Some compulsives in particular feel reluctant to express these feelings and end up coming off looking as if they don't care when they really do. This is known as poor social signaling, and it is possible to improve it. Join me for a discussion about self-control, social signaling, and what it takes to improve or save your relationship. This is episode 69 of the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, How Self-Control and Inhibited Expression Hurt Relationships. In previous episodes, I've written about how people with obsessive and compulsive traits try to avoid anxiety by controlling the people and the world around them. In this post, I'll focus on how they try to avoid anxiety by controlling themselves. This creates problems that are just as serious, such as repressing feelings, not even being aware of them, and starving relationships by holding back communication. Let's look at how this happens, an example, and what to do about it. Self-control is the ability to restrain yourself from acting on emotions or physical urges. Self-control is essential to getting along with others and reaching goals. We naturally learn early on that doing whatever we please doesn't always work so well. But this capacity to exercise self-control may become exaggerated during childhood if our emotions and physical urges lead us to do things that our caretakers don't like. Finger painting on the wall, tantrums in the grocery store, justified counterattacks on uncivilized siblings, and peeing in that fancy new outfit mom just bought can all lead to punishment that makes us become tight and hold back. Worse, if feelings of affection or need are rebuffed, we begin to feel that our most basic emotional self makes us too vulnerable. We not only turn down needs and feelings so that others don't hear them, we might even turn them down so low we can't hear them ourselves. This has happened to many people who have obsessive and compulsive traits. While they're usually aware of discontent, anxiety, and anger, they may not be aware of affection, appreciation, and connection, feelings which might make them feel too vulnerable or out of control. And whether they're aware of these feelings or not, they tend to restrict their expression. They can recite their to-do list, express anger at the imperfection they see in others, and share their endless internal debates about whether to buy the green shirt or the teal shirt, but they often have difficulty acknowledging feelings that would allow them to be more connected with others. When you aren't aware of these feelings, or you don't allow yourself to express them, you starve your relationship of the emotional exchange they need to thrive. Like that dead houseplant you forgot to water. We can also come across in ways that we don't intend. For instance, as a result of their restraint, compulsives may come across as rigid and cold, serious, judgmental and critical, stiff and formal, socially detached or aloof, and withholding of affection and compliments. To the degree that you inhibit or control your self-expression, you may unwittingly get people to experience you this way. Imagine for a moment what it's like to be on the other end of that. The problems caused by this presentation are magnified by the lack of awareness about how you might come across. You might assume people know how you feel when they don't. These are all examples of what's known in psychology as poor social signaling. One aspect of poor social signaling is the failure to communicate emotions. For instance, I was impressed with what a great job you did with that client today. I'm feeling really down or happy today. When you come home late, it really makes me nervous. The risotto was delicious, and you look so good, I can't wait to make love with you. Compulsives tend to be concerned mostly with fixing problems and getting things done. Communicating about anything that doesn't immediately push those projects forward is considered superfluous and therefore a waste of energy. Compulsives can become so distracted that they only communicate about what they're trying to correct or accomplish. And this isn't just about how many words you speak or even the choice of words, but also the expression you put into them. Too much self-control and others might hear your words, but not the music, the tone that's needed to communicate what you really feel. Nonverbal aspects figure into this as well. Facial expression, eye contact, and body posture communicate far more than we're usually aware of. Too much self-control makes us appear wooden. The less people see of the real you, the less safe they feel trusting you or getting close. If your self-control keeps you from expressing how you really feel, others will sense that and will trust you less. This leads to distancing on their part, and then, naturally, you express yourself even less because you've become more anxious since they've distanced themselves, and so on and so on. And when compulsives do express themselves, it may be more negative, direct, and edgy than others feel comfortable with. Brutal honesty is considered conscientious by many compulsives. The fact that positive feelings are absent seems irrelevant. Humor is often chiding, teasing others about their shortcomings from a holier-than-thou position. The anxiety that often underlines the unhealthy compulsive personality activates the sympathetic nervous system, hijacks emotional bandwidth, and diminishes your natural capacity to accurately read the feelings of others and to express your own feelings. All of these tendencies work against having a healthy relationship. For an example, let's talk about Andrew and Raphael. Andrew and Raphael had been married for 10 years. Andrew was the more reserved one. He seldom expressed his feelings and instead downplayed them. For instance, "Yeah, I'll be away on a business trip for 10 days, but what's the big deal?" Andrew was a perfectionist and didn't give compliments easily, if at all. He criticized Raphael for not hyphenating self-control. Andrew would never not hyphenate self-control. Raphael was more exuberant and spontaneous. He let Andrew know what he felt. And while Andrew would roll his eyes about that, Raphael's communication made the relationship easier for him because he knew where Raphael stood and that he was loved and respected. Andrew's lack of expression, on the other hand, made things hard for Raphael. He felt he couldn't make Andrew happy, and he felt insecure because of it. Perhaps worse, he felt disconnected. With time, he became more angry than insecure. When Raphael tried to talk about it, Andrew thought he was being critical. He didn't understand that Raphael really liked to make Andrew happy, and he was frustrated because he couldn't do it. Andrew made a lot of assumptions about how he came across. "Don't you know I love you? Why do you need me to say it all the time?" Put simply, in the terms of the 5 love languages, Andrew knew only one: acts of service. Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving and giving gifts, and physical touch were all neglected. If you're interested in love languages for compulsives, there is a post on the written blog about that, and I'll be putting up a podcast about it fairly soon. Getting back to Andrew and Raphael, Andrew had been taking Raphael for granted, and when Raphael finally said he couldn't tolerate it anymore, Andrew woke up. Not all compulsives wake up so easily, but he knew on some level that he loved and needed Raphael. Improving this situation wasn't as simple as teaching Andrew to use the other love languages. While those were important, Andrew also needed to know what made it hard for him to use those languages. It required intention, honesty with himself, and the willingness to be vulnerable by releasing some self-control. Here are some of the steps Andrew took over time. Many of them he actually put on his daily to-do list. Acknowledge that what he felt was not what he expressed. Acknowledge that it was not unreasonable for others to want him to convey more of what he felt. Monitored how affectionate feelings made him feel anxious. He tuned in to feelings other than discontent, including ones that made him feel vulnerable. He noticed how self-control and tension in his body restricted what he expressed. Whenever he had a positive thought, he expressed it. He counted how many positive thoughts he could express each day. He learned to laugh with Raphael about how silly his self-control could be, especially the hyphenated variety. It helped that Raphael acknowledged that he had his own issues to work on, including taking things personally, dependence, and people-pleasing, and he was willing to work on those. Change was gradual for Andrew, and he never became the life of the party, but it was enough for Raphael to feel more loved and for Andrew to feel more alive. If you're the non-compulsive partner in a relationship, you may find this previous post helpful, How to Get Along with a Partner Who Has OCPD, and that is episode 4 on the podcast. You can find transcripts of this podcast with links to research sources and lots more at the Healthy Compulsive blog, www.thehealthycompulsive.com. If you'd like to subscribe to the Healthy Compulsive podcast, hit that subscribe button. And for a thorough guide to cultivating the positive potential of the compulsive personality, find my book on Amazon, The Healthy Compulsive, Healing Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder and Taking the Wheel of the Driven Personality. And if you find any of these helpful, let others know by leaving a review. Till next time, enjoy the drive.